All right. Hello, it's Laurel and Ashton, and we're back with our second week. This week we're making taco bake. So everybody in their pickle bags this week, you got the recipe for taco bake, and everything was already included. So we'll just go ahead and get started. And the very first thing that we're going to do is put in about 2 tablespoons of the olive oil or vegetable oil into the pan. And this week, if you wanted to, you could do a meat version of this, or you could do the vegetarian version of this. I went ahead and did the ground beef, so we're going to go ahead and do the ground beef version. So I've already gone ahead and cooked my ground beef. But if you were going to do ground beef, you could do ground beef, turkey. You could do chicken in this as well, or you could do 2 cans of beans if you didn't want to do meat. So we're going to go ahead and do that. You can also, if on this recipe, if you didn't have an onion, you could do the powdered onion powder in this. So we're going to go ahead and put in all of our seasonings, which is chili powder, and that came in your kit this week. It put in the cumin, and then instead of doing the onions, we did onion powder. And then we have our can of black beans, which we've already drained, and they're ready to go. And our corn, which is 1 cup of corn. And our diced tomatoes. And these are diced tomatoes with chilies, so it's going to have a little bit of heat. So we'll go ahead and put all of that into this pan and go ahead and kind of get it kind of cooking and get it warm. And so it's super easy because we already had everything ready to go. But if you weren't going to brown the ground beef and you were just going to do the meat, it's only going to take about maybe 5 minutes or so to kind of do the adding everything in here. So we will kind of put this together here, and I'll let Ashton kind of tell us a little bit about the nutritional ingredients in this recipe.
Awesome. So one of the things that I think is fun about this is that it's really just like a taco lasagna. And tacos and quesadillas are really delicious, but they kind of take up a lot of time if you have to repeatedly make them throughout a week. So with a taco bake, you get to make all the ingredients at once, put it all together, and that means it's ready to go for a couple days worth of meals. This dish, like a lot of dishes, is equally delicious if you make it plant-based, like Laurel said. So you could drop the meat and use the beans. And everything that we're using this week to make this, they're really pantry staples. So if you were missing something, like she showed you with the onions, you can use onion powder. Things are interchanged pretty easily. On its own, the serving of this taco bake gives you a balance of the iron-rich protein, even if you're using beans. You get a variety of veggies, and then you get calcium from the cheese. The tortillas, of course, are kind of chewy once you get them all baked up and delicious, so that leaves you really satisfied. I think that this dish is fun to kind of spice up too if you happen to have, so Laurel had the diced tomatoes with the chilies in it. So if you didn't have that, I think another scenario could be even just like salsa that maybe had some jalapeno or something mixed in it. Whatever you have, you could mix in there in place. And the veggies that you use can totally be adapted. So let's say that we're going to use black beans and you happen to have some sweet potatoes in your pantry. You could chop those up and put them in there with the black beans, and that'd be a great hearty addition to make it equally as great as if you were using meat. And then finally, of course, we can always add fun toppings to this if we had them around. So if you happen to have some sour cream or Greek yogurt or an avocado, you can throw those on top. But the whole meal itself, just a serving of it, is a good balance of all the food groups, and would always be great if you even had a side salad or something that you added to it.
All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and coat the small baking dish. So I just used a little square baking dish. And I'm just going to put a little spray on it so it doesn't stick. I heated my oven up to to 350. And so it'll just take us, it'll just take about 12 minutes to cook this dish, 12 to 15 minutes. So it's pretty quick and easy. So if you're making it ahead of time, or if you're making it when you are just kind of getting home. So then what you're really gonna just do is kind of layer it, just like Ashton said. So it's gonna be kind of like a little lasagna. So I'm gonna go ahead and put one of the layers on, and then I'm just gonna put the filling in between, and then just keep layering it. And obviously, if you used a larger dish, you could kind of tear your tortillas in half and layer it. So there's this. And then we'll throw one more layer on. And then we'll put the top layer on, and on top of that, we will put our cheese on top. And so here's our cheese, and this contains about 2 cups, which is what the recipe calls for, but we'll just put it over the top. Just like that. And we'll go ahead and put it in the oven at 350 for about 12 to 15 minutes. So I'll go ahead and put it in, and then we'll check on it in just a second. All right, and we are back, and our taco bake is out of the oven and finished. And here is the finished product. And Ashton's going to tell us what the cost is per serving on this one.
Absolutely. So the total recipe, and again, these are always estimates, but I try to get as close as I can. The total recipe is about $11. So by the time you break it up into about those 4 servings, it comes down to about $2.75 per serving. Now, if you use beans instead of meat, you cut off about 75 cents, so closer to about $2, maybe a little bit less. And it depends on where that food is coming from too, so it could even be a little bit cheaper, but still definitely a budget meal and pretty delicious.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and catch us the next time for our next recipe.
Bye.